Welcome everyone to the Avengers podcast, where we talk Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and more. I'm your host Peyton, and with me is my co-host Torrent.
Yo,
What is going on?
I'm just chilling. After I ate my food, I was slumped in my chair for like about 15 minutes. So
Would you pass out?
yeah, I just took a nice little nap. It's been a long day.
Just as you eat your food, you just slide down the chair.
Yeah, I woke up like slouched. I was like, damn, must have been really good then.
Chicken was hidden.
Dude, it's always hidden.
What'd you watch this week?
I haven't really been watching that much stuff just because like I'm trying to give myself like a break.
Bro's slacking, but for
Hold-
good reason.
Hold on, wait a minute. No way. Hold on.
I'm scared.
Sorry, my friend Lay just gave Next Friday a 2.5 stars. Fucking blasphemy.
I mean, based on our MCU list.
Like I would understand like a 3.5, maybe even a 3, 2.5. It's kind of pushing it. Now if it was Friday after next, I'd understand that. But next Friday next Friday is at least a 3.5, not a 2.5. No, because when I think 2.5, I think it's like fucking like horrible, like bad. That's just me.
2.5.
Like 2.5 and like below, I think it like to me it's like it's horrible. Which like
yeah, like technically 2.5 is like average of average, but like I don't know. For me, anytime I rate something as average, it's usually 3 stars.
yeah, for me, like I've kind of just been rewatching stuff. I've rewatched like the Rush Hour movies, Friday the 13th, from 2009. But I did see DC League of Super Pets, and that was really, really good. I loved it a lot. Like, of course, they take some of the cliche tropes of like, family and like being your own person. And they kind of
Diesel's
like,
in it?
No.
You're talking about family, so I mean.
Oh my God. Here we go. But, they take some cliche tropes and they manage to fit it well into the movie and like the context. Sounds really good. And last night I did see Halloween Ends, which is
the best
getting
movie.
a lot of flack right now, which I think is average. I think that's average. Yeah, I don't think it's like as bad as people making it out to be. I think people just wanted to see like a 2-hour knife fight between Laurie and Michael. Did I want to see more of them in the movie? Of course, but I kind of understand what they were going for, and I think it's okay. And it's definitely the Last Jedi of the Halloween like trilogy, or like the modern Halloween trilogy.
Yeah, as far as its divisiveness.
It took risks. I think it's just like average. It was something different, and it subverted people's expectations. So
fair enough.
Yeah, it's
but
good.
You didn't hate it.
No, I didn't hate it. No.
Yeah.
If anything, I'll probably will come around to like it even more once I give it a rewatch and like see people's reviews on it. It is better than Halloween Kills, I will say for sure.
Yeah, I heard that was trash.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's trash. Just my main criticisms of like they didn't really utilize Jamie Lee Curtis a whole lot, and they gave Michael like hella plot armor, like in that movie. Like I'm talking about, like it is like incredible plot armor. That's just like my main 2 things about that movie. But overall, I think the trilogy is fine. I'd give it like the whole trilogy around maybe like a 7.5. But yeah, that's kind of what I think about it.
Sure, I'm a pussy, so I don't watch them, even though I know they're not that scary.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, they're not that scary. I kind of was like, like for me, like I'm not I don't do too well with like tension, like scariness, but like in this movie, it kind of like cuts down to like, it can sound like a lot. So
sure. Well, I didn't see anything this week because I've just been hunkering down in writing my essay. I'm in grind mode right now, so I haven't seen anything. I mean, technically, I've seen things for one of my classes, but I mean, I don't want to talk about that.
Man, I still can't believe you have to write a 20-page essay.
I mean, it is what it is. It's coming along better than I thought it would, but it's still 20 pages. And I'm at a point where it's like, I have to turn in a first draft, a second draft, and a final draft. And the first draft has to be a minimum of 12 pages. And I've written 12 pages, which is great because I didn't think I'd even be able to do that. But the problem is, now that I've written 12 pages, I feel like I've written everything I need to write, and now I have to write 8 more pages. It feels like the essay's done, which is my biggest problem with page limits. It's like, if the essay, it should be as long as it needs to be, but whatever. Anyway, we had a great show for everyone this week. You see the title. We're going to be talking about She-Hulk episodes 5 through 9. I think the most recent 4, basically, because we're doing these in like half and half now. So we're going to be talking about that and, our overall thoughts. We're probably just going to do spoilers just completely when we get to that, because I'm not going to do no spoilers for every episode. It's not going to happen. But now, before that, we of course have the news of the week. We got some unfortunate, but maybe fortunate delays. We also have some interesting video game news. We don't usually talk about video games, but we got a couple here. So let's get started with the first piece of news. This is according to comicbook.com. Skybound Entertainment has apparently unveiled that they plan to adapt Invincible as a game.
Yeah, I did see that, and I would really love to see that.
The fact that that we might get a Superman type game before an actual Superman game is pretty sad.
Yeah, I can't even remember the last time we got a Superman game. Although I have been seeing someone on TikTok, they play I guess it's like a fan made Superman game, and it's maybe Unreal Engine 5.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really, really good. But
they should just make a fan game at this point. It'd be better than whatever they would make anyway.
Right. So, but I don't know. I just, it feels kind of crazy because Superman is definitely the biggest hero of all time, but I still feel like he gets shitted on a lot. He is the biggest superhero of all time.
It's Spider-Man.
It's not Spider-Man.
I mean, this popularity wise goes, it's Spider-Man.
No, it's not.
And then Superman, and then Batman.
Definitely, they are the Holy Trinity, yes. But I'd say Superman is
it's definitely not.
It is.
It's not.
I don't know
who your source is.
But yeah, my source is comics and everything else.
My source is facts. So
well, agree to disagree. We can agree that they're both the Holy Trinity, so we can say that.
But yeah, he does. He gets shafted, and hopefully we're seeing sort of the tail end of that era of Superman just getting that's just the shit end of the stick from a movies and game standpoint for the shows. I mean, he's actually doing pretty well. I mean, with Superman and Lois and whatnot, but the future of that shows up in the air still, and I don't know, but it's looking like we're gonna get more Superman in the future. So hopefully we can get a good Superman game, but it remains to be seen. But yeah, an Invincible Game would be sick. I want to play as Omni-Man and just decimate the Guardians of the Globe.
Right.
Spoiler alert, but but this is according to Christopher Mark on Twitter. Apparently Lucasfilm have cast Lars Mikkelsen to play Thrawn in the Ahsoka series, which is perfection, because if anyone hasn't seen Rebels or is familiar with Thrawn or whatever, Lars Mikkelsen is the voice actor for Thrawn, and by the name alone, you can probably guess that he's the brother of Mads Mikkelsen. And bro just looks the part, and he obviously sounds the part as he's the voice actor. So if this is true and he is Thrawn, that's just perfection. It's like when they got Katie Sackhoff to play Bo-Katan, because she is Bo-Katan in the Clone Wars. So this is an ideal situation.
It would be nice to see that in live action.
Indeed, with his beady red eyes and blue skin. But yeah, apparently, go to some DC news. This is questionable. Apparently, the Gotham Knights video game will be locked at 30 FPS on consoles. And you know, if the game was still releasing on last gen consoles, that would make sense. But it's quite literally current gen or next gen, whatever you want to call it. I guess it's still next gen since everyone kind of still has last gen consoles. But it's going to be locked at 30 FPS on PS5 and Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S. That is...
No, I don't like that at all.
Just if anyone takes 2 seconds to look at the gameplay, in what world can that not be 60 FPS at least? It's not that. It doesn't look that good. And then you can make the argument like, oh, well, it's open world, and you have all this Spider-Man PS5 runs beautifully at 120 FPS. They can't make it. That's not the game. That's just poor optimization. This is probably the reason why it's not even releasing on last gen consoles to begin with. And I think their excuse was that they can't make it run 60 FPS on the Xbox Series S, which also doesn't make any sense because you can run Cyberpunk at 60 FPS. Cyberpunk, the game notorious for being absolutely harsh on your PCs and consoles as far as being challenging for the system to run. It can run 60 FPS on Xbox Series S, so there should be no issue. It makes no sense. And apparently there's part of the reason, like there's no performance and fidelity mode, which is pretty standard in games now. So you can have a more graphically focused gameplay experience or a performance focused gameplay experience. That's not an option. So I guess maybe I don't know.
I'm just tired of dude, one thing I'm tired of in games. So I'm tired of just games coming out or games about to be released and they're just garbage. This game had so much hype and it's falling flat so hard.
Yeah.
And I thought that, when they delayed the game that they were, gonna fix some things and be in the right direction. And that's not happening at all from what I'm hearing.
The game just looks so boring. It looks so boring. It's so the open world, Gotham looks so empty.
Right.
I don't know. Because I feel bad because the game was made by Warner Brothers Montreal.
Oh.
So the guys behind Arkham Origins.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I haven't played it, but everyone that I've heard talk about it say it's an underrated game. And so they're clearly capable of making a competent game. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened here. The gameplay looks clunky. It looks like it doesn't look as bad as the Avengers game, but it's sort of leaning. It's closer to that than an Arkham. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that is just unfortunate. So moving on, this is according to Jeff Snyder and later was corroborated by Slash Film. Apparently Harrison Ford has officially signed on to play Thaddeus Ross in Captain America New World Order. Which we were just talking about last week, or at least I was. I'm like, this man's too old. He's in his 80s. He's older than William Hurt was when he died. I mean, he's he'd be a good Ross. I'm excited on that front, but also, my God, bro's ancient.
I don't care. Just give me Red Hulk. I'm kidding.
No, you're right.
Man, That's crazy. And to even think that like he'd accept a role from like, Marvel.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
Considering he hates the shit out of Star Wars.
But he loves Indiana Jones for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, he loves that money, I guess.
I guess.
Can't get that money.
I remember being surprised when he showed up in Rise of Skywalker. Because I was like, he agreed to do this? How much did they pay this man? Luckily, it was a great scene in a bad movie. But
right.
That's a surprise. A surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. Kind of. God, he's old. But hopefully he doesn't die tomorrow. Anyway.
My God.
He's old.
So pessimistic.
I don't want to be pessimistic. I'm just saying. The executive producer for Marvel Zombies revealed that the series is gonna be 4 episodes.
It better be an hour long, bro. I'm tired of this.
I'm not, because I wasn't a fan of that Marvel Zombies episode in What If, so this is a good for me. Not really. Well, kind of. I mean, it's a new creative team, it seems like, so it's likely to be different from that episode, and it's going to be Marvel's first R-rated produced project. So I'm excited on that. I am excited on that level. But 4 episodes. What is it going to be like? How long is the episode's going to be? It's certainly going to be interesting to see.
So, bro, these better be an hour long.
Hopefully. But also, I don't know. It's animation.
I don't care. Make it an hour long. Make each episode an hour. If not, I will have to intervene. I will intervene for the fans, even though
you'll intervene like
shitty.
Someone else did.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
You're gonna go into Marvel Studios and intervene.
Oh yes, like that too. I will literally like intervene for the shitty Marvel fandom.
Yeah,
like, y'all, I got y'all.
So next up, we have some unfortunate but fortunate delays. Blade, unsurprisingly, has been delayed to September 6, 2024, almost a year delay, which again makes sense. Also, giving themselves some time to actually get that new script written and find a good director and not just like pick one up off the street. You know what I mean? So that's fine. Deadpool 3 has unfortunately been delayed to November 8th, 2024. I don't think that's a huge delay, but it's still kind of unfortunate. I think that might have been no, it was September. It was September to November. Yeah, so it's like a couple months delay. That's fine. Fantastic Four, on the other hand, has been delayed to February 14th, 2025, which I'm not mad about because again, giving them more time and whatever. But I wish that the Fantastic Four movie came out in the year 2024. I mean, it would have just worked. Now that's not happening. So that sucks. That sucks on that level. But also, Avengers Secret Wars has been delayed to May 1st, 2026, which is like a 6-month delay. Basically, the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars are now coming out a year apart, just like Infinity War and Endgame, which, as insane as that announcement was, this makes sense.
Yeah.
Like just imagine the logistics behind trying to get 2 Avengers movies made. I imagine it's going to be a lot of crossovers with the same characters, and they'd have to be filming at pretty much the same time. I think they only came out like 6 months apart. So yeah, this is not a surprise. Well, it's kind of a surprise. I mean, no one was expecting it necessarily, but this was probably for the best. All of these really, except Deadpool, that seemed to be on track. Unfortunate, but fortunate, like I said. But this is according to the Cosmic Circus. So, a little bit of good news. Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4 is reportedly eyeing a July 12th, 2024 release and will apparently be a, quote, street-level story that could explore the aftermath of the events of Daredevil Born Again. Kevin Feige said, I don't know how long ago now, but I don't think it was that long ago. He said that Daredevil and Spider-Man would be leading the street-level heroes, which is incredibly exciting. So if this ties into Daredevil in literally any way, I'm there.
Exactly. I'm there too because man, their dynamic is just amazing in the comics. So I can't wait to see that in live action.
Absolutely. And the rumor is that Kingpin's running for mayor. I imagine just to rise the stakes, he will get elected. I want to imagine Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin with Spider-Man. Come on, man. I need it. I need it to happen. I need it to happen. And if Sony's so obsessed with like the you're obligated to add one MCU character as a main character in a Spider-Man movie, make it Daredevil or Kingpin.
Right. That too.
Regardless, fuck, it would be cool. But this is also according to the Cosmic Circus. The rumored Nova project, which has been rumored for I don't know how long now, is now rumored to be being developed as a special presentation. Now, this is interesting. We talked about last week during our Werewolf by Night discussion that I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these series are going to be reworked to be special presentations. I don't think it was rumored that Nova would necessarily be a series. And the fact that they're making it a special presentation, at least that's a rumor, is kind of surprising because I feel like he should get a movie, right?
Yeah.
Like a special presentation is cool. I mean, I'll take that over a series, but he should have a movie.
Yeah, he should have a movie. Like, I mean, I hope this announcement gets the Armor Wars treatment in the future.
Yeah. Although that was going to be a series, 6 episodes. But hopefully you're right. Hopefully that eventually this does get reworked again, I guess, into a movie, because I think he's definitely a character that deserves the big screen 100%.
Yep.
So this is according to Reddit, which when it comes to stuff on Reddit, I usually don't care about, but it was corroborated again by the Cosmic Circus. They were just on a news spree this week, I guess. It's rumored that Sacha Baron Cohen is gonna play Mephisto in the Ironheart series, which I heard initially and I was like, Sacha Baron Cohen is Borat. What? Mephisto? but then I thought about it, and like, outside of like Borat and shit, he's a good actor. And I actually think he could pull Mephisto off. So I'm not mad about this.
I just want to know what he's going to be doing in Ironheart.
Well, apparently, I think in the comics, I think that's where the Cloak gets his stupid hood thing.
That's right. Because I forgot that hood was in there.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. Yeah, okay.
So... And I wonder if they did this just because people were crying for Mephisto in WandaVision. They're like, fine, you get your Mephisto, Jesus.
I still don't understand. I mean, I understand, but I still don't. People just be complaining.
I don't understand. Doesn't make any sense to me. But imagine telling yourself 3 years ago, hey, they're making an Ironheart series. It's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense because, Iron Man's dead or whatever. But also Mephisto's going to be in it. Excuse me? Like, Mephisto, he's not going to show up in an Avengers movie or Doctor Strange? Nah, Ironheart. Like, jeez. But yeah, that is the news of the week, which means it is time to move on to our topic, which is She-Hulk. Boy, is She-Hulk a discussion. Before we get into I want to get to our overall thoughts about everything towards the end. I want to talk about the specific episodes that we haven't talked about first. So let's get into it with episode 6, which is the wedding episode. I had a lot of fun with this one. Jen starts out by saying it's an inconvenient time for a wedding episode in the season, and she's right. But also, I don't care because I thought the episode was pretty great. I love the actress who played the bride. Like, she was only used once in this episode, but she fucking nailed it. When She-Hulk showed up and it zoomed in on her face because she didn't want She-Hulk there, she just wanted Jen. And the way her face was twitching was really, really good. And this whole episode was, I thought at least, was very focused on yeah, like it was one of those episodes where it's like, yeah, this is sort of like a fun one-off episode, but it also had a lot of important character development and also set up stuff in later episodes with the ending of the episode. But my favorite kind of character development is the kind that's not super on the nose. And in this episode, Jen clearly wants to embrace She-Hulk, but is shot down by that friend who just wants Jen. And so she feels invalidated in both forms, and she can't win. And because even Titania shows up and she's like, I want you to be She-Hulk and shit. So, but yeah.
Number 6, I'll agree. I think it was fun. I kind of want to get into my overall thoughts of the show, but I guess we can say that till like later.
No, it's episode by episode time, because this episode also has, in my opinion, the best B story with Mr. Immortal. I thought that whole thing was great, and who is, by the way, played by the guy who's the assistant to the mayor or whatever in Book of Boba Fett, the Twi'lek, which was really fun. He's great in both series, despite me not enjoying Book of Boba Fett. He was good in it, and he's great as Mr. Immortal. The way he jumped out the window to avoid conflict is amazing. That whole thing was just hilarious. Titania was great in this. I wish we got more of her throughout the show. I feel like they kind of built her up to be a bigger thing, especially in marketing and trailers and stuff. And she ended up being like, she was there for a good amount of the episodes, but she was a relatively minor player in them, which is kind of unfortunate, because Jamila Jamil was really, really good. And luckily it's not like the character died, so they could always bring her back. But with that, I really liked her and would have liked to see more. But Josh is introduced in this episode. Did you get bad vibes immediately? Because I didn't.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, probably because I got spoiled on it. So
damn.
But yeah, I mean, that's why I kept texting you saying like Josh is sus, because like I knew something was like up with him. Turns out I was right, because I'm always right about everything.
But you got spoiled, so.
Yeah, I did get spoiled, but I don't really care, because that's fine.
Yeah, I was like, oh, finally a guy who likes Jen for Jen. But I didn't really think, oh, this is suspicious, until there was a point later in the episode where he's talking to her, and she was like, I haven't shown you my She-Hulk form yet, and he was like, ooh, I'd love to. And I was like, okay. That was a little sus. And then of course it's at the end of the episode, it's more revealed that, okay, they're clearly sort of watching this happen, or maybe listening in. So Josh is probably, not a great guy. But I know part of the wedding cliche is that the main character is shit on by other bridesmaids, but Jen is literally a Hulk. Do you really want to push your luck there? Like, they're like, oh, Jen, can you clean these shirts and shit? It's like, really? She could throw you across the fucking state. Like, I don't think you want to go that route. But yeah, even though like Josh still seemed kind of sus, I was still upset that he sucked, because he was so nice, and Jen just needed a win. I mean, she got a win later. You know what I mean? But but when Titania went after Jen, the way they did that transition where her vision focused, I thought that was really clever, and also a good way to save budget, to not show that transition. But after the fight with Titania, and the bride comes in drunk, and she gives her a hug, and she goes, oh, huge boobs. that made me laugh out loud. But yeah, that was pretty much that episode. And then we move on to the therapy episode, which I feel like, well, maybe the finale is now, but, well, maybe it's not. But I feel like the therapy episode is probably the most divisive, because you have, it's very, this episode is probably the most sitcom-y. Like, that's just the way it feels. But like there's this sweet montage with Josh at the beginning, which sucked because considering the episode after, the ending of episode 8 with the Daredevil episode, it's big yikes, that montage now. Also, when she gets to the resort, Blonsky's ranch resort thing, the Prius that got totaled had, like, that was blatant product placement because they kept saying the full name of the car instead of just Prius. It's like, even like, they kept saying Prius Prime. It's like, okay, chill. But I don't know the general consensus of this because I was trying to stay off the internet as much as possible until I failed after the finale. As I don't know, I just gave in. I love Zen Blonsky. Like, I thought I'd be indifferent because I do want to see Abomination, but Tim Roth's performance is just too good. I loved this Blonsky, just him being just a mug.
Yeah. I actually loved the therapy episode. I mean, it's still kind of giving her like more development and shit like that. But also, like, you know, the interactions with everybody else it was like really funny and really awesome. Especially with that dude from the Wrecking Crew.
Oh yeah,
like, he turned good or whatever.
Yeah, the whole group was really fun.
Yeah, it was really fun. Also, that the Man Bull, he's like a person who plays him. He's like an actual like comedian. He's on TikTok or whatever.
Oh shit, yeah. That's awesome.
Let me see. Let me look up his name. Let's see. He's played by Nathan Hurd. Yeah, Nathan Hurd. Yeah, he's a comedian. He's fucking hilarious. He's really good. So
good for him.
Because I remember he made a video on TikTok and he's like, "Oh, how was it being on She-Hulk?" And he was talking about his experience. So
he was like, "It sucked because it was woke."
Oh my god.
I love that in the room where when they're actually in the group, the circle. I loved all the quotes and posters that Blonsky had of himself, like "Today is today" and "Obama stay," which was really good. But at the time, I still love, but like the previously on Fourth Wall Break when the guy from the Wrecking Crew came in and she was like, "What the fuck? You remember this guy?" Because I didn't. I was like, I don't know. And then they previously on him. I thought that was really good, but now they look so tame in comparison to the finale. So right. Yeah, but yeah, I love everyone in the circle. It was a super fun group of characters. Yeah, Manbull and well, I forgot the fucking Conquistador's name.
Yeah, I forgot his name too.
It's not Aguilar. That's it.
Yeah, Aguilar.
I thought it was close to that. It was close to that. Yeah. So they had great chemistry together. Saracen was pretty funny, and Porcupine, poor dude. He kind of reminded me of Ron Funches a little bit.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see that for sure.
But yeah, Jen's monologue when she finally started sharing in the circle was really, really good. Surprisingly emotional. How she's talking about how it should be easy as She-Hulk. And, again, this is, talking to people that incels. I'll just be blunt about it. It's speaking to people like, oh, women have it so easy and whatever and shit like that. Especially when it comes to attractive women, whatever, and strong women. And so she's saying like, it should be easy. It should be a cheat code, but it's really difficult. And it's especially difficult as Jen because, obviously, everyone, again, sort of like last episode, people want either one, but no one wants both, and she's struggling to accept both parts of herself. And she kind of finally does in this episode. Which is really good. But yeah, everything about this episode was just super wholesome. When she got out of the yurt and everyone was celebrated, she did that little dance. That was super fun. Yeah, everything about this was super wholesome. But then there's the end of the episode, which just like I thought this made me feel gross, and then the next episode just slapped me in the face. But it was already gross enough, and then he took a picture, and I was like, Jesus. Why? I mean, we know why, but Jesus. Ugh. But yeah, that was that episode. A lot of fun. Probably my favorite like regular episode, quote unquote. Although I do love the magic one, but yeah. Then of course we have the Daredevil episode. My God, the Daredevil episode. Before we get to Daredevil, we got to say that Leapfrog's the GOAT, right?
Yeah, he's going to be stupid.
The GOAT of being the best character in the MCU, period.
Are you sure?
Yes, because it's time to rib it and rip it. It's a fantastic catchphrase. It's better than any catchphrase in the MCU. He should be an Avenger.
I don't know, man. I think the Madison solos.
Okay, well, yes, that's true. I mean, yeah. Okay, you're right. Leapfrog is second place, but Madison is number one.
Love Madison.
Yeah, Madison's the best. The guy who plays Luke Jacobson is phenomenal. He was good in the previous episodes, but he's especially good in this one. Also, I want to point out he is not the drip broker. I keep seeing people say, "Oh, who's the drip broker?" He's not the fucking drip broker. Pug said that he knows the drip broker and that the drip broker knows Luke Jacobson. That's how that went. Luke Jacobson is not the drip broker. Regardless, Luke Jacobson is great in this. The actor's really good.
Seriously, he really is.
Yes. Also, similar to No Way Home, I was obviously expecting Daredevil to be in it, but I was only expecting like a few scenes or maybe for him to show up in the finale or some shit, but not like the entire episode. Like, I think he showed up like a quarter way through, maybe even less than that. Like, he was there the entire time, which was, great, obviously. But yeah, seeing Matt again, especially in lawyer mode, was so fun. And last time we talked about She-Hulk episode 1 through 5, how, at least for me and for you, I think you agreed that the actual courtroom stuff was probably the weakest part of the show, which is unfortunate considering it is a lawyer comedy. Although I did give an exception to the magician episode, which I thought that was actually pretty well written. But this Daredevil one was great. It was literally like God, it was great. Like, it literally felt like they got a writer from the Daredevil show to write his lines. And the only issue I had with that was that it was maybe too easy for Matt, because Jen and Matt are both very good lawyers, and I feel like they should be on par, at least as far as like expertise wise, and I feel like Matt just wiped the floor with Jen. But God, he was so good, because it was all the lawyer speak just felt very surface level throughout, and then Matt comes in and all of a sudden it felt like a real lawyer stepped into the room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was handled so well. He was handled so well.
I just loved how like he was like more of an acrobat in this, like, in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And that was
which some people were mad about.
Really yeah, because they don't read comics because they're fucking stupid.
Daredevil fans when Daredevil acts like Daredevil.
Right. It's like, I mean, it's just like one of the things where it's like, I swear, people would think that like the Netflix show is the only piece of Daredevil media that exists. But yeah, this episode was like really, really fucking fun. It kind of felt like super different compared to the other episodes, because like it kind of felt like more, in a sense, comic booky.
Yeah.
While this one, while the other episodes were kind of just like, of course, how can I explain this?
Well, again, in the comics, I feel like it even kind of does the same thing. You have a run of a certain character, and maybe, depending on the run, another big name character shows up, and it does sort of take a tonal shift, not a major one, but it does feel different because there's a new dynamic. So yeah, I get what you're saying, but yeah. So
that's one of the reasons I like that episode as well. And oh my God, it just felt so amazing. Like the hallway scene and like his lines were amazing.
Well, yeah. Well, in the courtroom again, his monologue about how it wouldn't be fair to disclose the identities of Luke Jacobson's clients because it would jeopardize the safety of others and the safety of their friends and family was perfection. It literally came out of the Daredevil show. Like I love, of course, you know, obviously there's the double entendre there because he's also protecting himself there. And, you know, he talks about the Sokovia Accords were repealed, which is just there's multiple times in this show where there's just massive MCU implications and they just drop it and leave it and don't talk about it ever again. Like, oh, by the way, Sokovia Accords aren't a thing anymore. Okay, let's move on. But yeah, that was the only thing I might brush up against. The only thing is the scene where Matt says he's lying. Don't ask me how I know. I just know. It's like, okay, that was a little on the nose, but it wasn't that big of a deal. But God, yeah, the chemistry Matt and Jen have in the bar scene too was fantastic. I was kind of expecting when he went on the phone to I assume he got like a tip or something that Leapfrog kidnapped Luke Jacobson and needed to go. I was like half expecting the phone to go foggy like it does in the Netflix show. But also I do want to point out that Matt did say he got a couple of suits from Luke Jacobson, so that's probably the black and red suit we're gonna see in Echo, I imagine. Just a little piece of extra information. But also I also want to point out that I just want to give Charlie Cox his due diligence. The bro is so good at playing a blind guy. Like, I know we all know that by now, but like it's always the little things for me. Like in the scene where he tries to in the bar, he goes to like feel for the drink and then Jen pushes it towards him. Like they don't focus on it at all. They're focusing on the dialogue in both of them. Like, but like it's the little things. And like, not to jump ahead, but in the finale, he goes to put his hand on someone's shoulder and he hovers a bit to make sure that he's putting his hand in the right place. It's just, it adds to the believability so much, and also doesn't help his case in that I still see him and think he's blind.
Well, I mean, it also helps that he got a Helen Keller Achievement Award. So
yeah, he did.
Helps. Like, man, that was just incredible.
It's probably, I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of the best depictions of a disability ever. Like, even though it's like in a heavily fictionalized superhero show where he can't see, but he can see. He's so good. And again, the dialogue for Matt in this episode is perfection. The one for them, one for us. A little speech he gives for Jen explaining how he can do good in both forms is, again, just great, and also adds to Jen's character development. God, it's so good. Also, I want to point out when Todd texts Jen, it's always a motherfucker named Todd. And, you know, she meets up with him. He's talking about the Wakandan spear and he says, Wakanda forever. I physically cringed in a good way, because obviously that's you're meant to like I flinched, and like Jen was like, ooh, that makes me uncomfortable. I was like, yeah, it does, like Jesus. But so Leapfrog then calls Jen, of course, and then we get that brief She-Hulk versus Daredevil fight. And like you said, they make him more acrobatic, and you know the flipper cover he does when she smashes the ground under him, and he like uses both his arms to like grab the debris and like pull himself up and flip onto the. It's so good. It's so good. And but you know, and then Disney had to ruin him by, you know, making him quippy, like, you know, my ass remains unwhooped. Daredevil wouldn't say that. He doesn't make quips. Disgusting. I can't believe they would ruin his character.
Yeah, I know, right? I can't believe that they didn't make She-Hulk turn dark like the Netflix show. Like, it's just,
yeah, for that one episode.
Right, it's just so stupid. Like, I can't believe it.
Awful.
I mean, I've never read a Daredevil comic in my life, but
or
I know
She-Hulk
he's supposed
comic.
to be. I just know that Daredevil's supposed to be brooding 24/7 like Batman. He can't make jokes.
He's just
ever.
read Batman.
Like, God, fucking idiots! I swear to God.
But
every day I like hate myself for not replying to like this one Instagram page that has like over 100,000 like followers. Because you're just saying like, yeah, I've been a critic of the MCU, and like, and he would post about like Daredevil. Was like, yeah, they absolutely ruined him. He makes so many jokes, and I'm like, Like for someone who's a film buff, you absolutely do not know shit about TV. Stop watching it right now.
Yeah, this series has exposed a lot of people, and I don't mean like oh these people are bigoted sort of way. I'll get into that later, but like in the way that like for so long people are like, oh, you clearly don't read comics. Oh, this isn't comic accurate and shit like that. And you can generally tell when people are idiots and stuff, but this series like really brought them out of the woodwork, because there was people that were saying like She-Hulk never broke the fourth wall and stuff like that. She didn't do it before Deadpool. And you also have, the Daredevil people. He doesn't make jokes. Like, whoa, like way to expose yourself, man. Way to expose yourself.
Exactly. Like it's fucking disgusting. Like I'm sorry, I hate to be like that type of person, but like it truly is like just disgusting behavior. Like if you're gonna correct somebody, at least know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, and it also exposes the like people with the accounts that you're talking about, because clearly like it's so painfully obvious at this point with how popular shitting on not only MCU but She-Hulk as well, how easy it is to get followers that way. If you wanted to like get rich quick is not the right way to put it, but if you want to like get a relatively decent following quick, just start shitting on the MCU and start shitting on She-Hulk, calling everything woke and shit. That's the way to do it right now, which is incredibly depressing. But that's what it is. And like that's what gets clicks and likes now and shit. So like that guy, he's just fishing for attention, really.
Yeah,
and
I mean, like, of course, like that's not like how he got his following, because he does talk about like film, which I can give him respect that way. But like, I saw his story and I was like, yeah, you are a piece of shit. Like, I'm just not gonna probably gonna get on follow you after that, And bro, like, I can't tell you like how many accounts I've blocked because they just started like, crying about shit like that, and like just the negative the negative like following farm. And it's just like ironic because like if you like She-Hulk, you get called like an NPC when like they're the NPCs themselves, because like they just hate on like fucking She-Hulk like everyone else. But
yeah, I feel sort of lucky that the people that I follow and people that I actually give respect towards as far as their opinion goes, all of them, the worst thing someone's said is that it's pretty average. Yeah, I haven't not a single one of them is like 180 and been like She-Hulk's trash, shit like that.
Yeah, for me, like I've heard like the show's like average, and I did follow this one guy who he gave like legit criticism like of the show. He said like like I wasn't really a fan of it all that much up until the 8th and 9th episode, but the reason why he didn't like it is because like he felt like some of the things were like too on the nose, and instead of like just letting the audience like infer.
Yeah, I've also seen that criticism, and my problem with that is if it's not too on the nose, then like I feel like with stuff like this it has to be, because then they're not going to get it. And obviously there's cons to that, because now that they do get it and get it like very clearly, they're incredibly upset because they're seeing themselves in the villain.
Yeah. So yeah, most of these, most of these man babies have like self like victimization complex like up to a fucking like 100.
Yeah.
It's just. I'm just like, bro, like not everything's about you. Like, goddamn, like shut up. such a fucking crybaby.
Yeah. Back to the show a little bit. When She-Hulk catches up to Matt and just claps and like takes him out, because I saw some people even complain about that. Like, it's like, bro, she's a Hulk. Like, he ain't gonna do much. But like, she takes off the helmet. He looks so blind. He looks so blind. I thought it was so funny, but obviously they have their little conversation, and the theme plays, which is amazing.
Right, like he's like, I'm Daredevil. I'm like, oh,
beautiful. And then they move on to Leapfrog's hideout. Not much of a hideout, to be honest. Just leap pad, just blasted on the front of the building. But I love Daredevil's explanation of the difference between goons and henchmen.
Yeah, that was nice. I was like,
so unnecessary, but what a nice just piece of dialogue.
I was like, didn't even think about it that way.
Right? It was so good. But and of course, the part where Daredevil starts listening to Jen's heartbeat, the sexual tension is off the charts.
Right.
But I love the part where he's listening to it and he's like, your heart's beating pretty fast. And she's like, what? No, I'm healthy.
Unbeatable Riz.
Truly. But all this is whatever, because of course we get the motherfucking hallway fight. It's, oh my God, when it starts and it's like it's all dark and like it gets really quiet and then the door opens and the guy just flies out like it's straight out of season 1. Oh, so good. And I saw some people complaining that it wasn't one shot. Who gives a shit? We got a hallway fight, bro. We got a hallway fight.
Can't be Daredevil without a hallway fight.
But yes, obviously super reminiscent of season 1. So good. When he was like throwing the billy clubs and shit. And he did the thing and it roped back to him. Beautiful.
God. Chef's kiss.
Yeah. Also a super underrated like tidbit that I saw that I haven't seen people talking about is that when they showed Leapfrog getting suited up and he puts on that like sock over his head before the helmet, like that a lot, if not most actors in superhero roles with some sort of helmet or cowl or whatever have to do that to keep their hair out of the way. But
sure.
We never actually see it in the shows or the movies because that's not necessarily imagine you take off your helmet and there's a huge sock on your head. You know what I mean? They just seem like they just had the mask on or helmet on alone. In fact, there's a behind the scenes photo of Charlie Cox wearing that exact thing. But later in the episode, when they get into Jen's place, you know what I mean? They take off the helmet and it all comes off in one piece. But in reality, he's wearing that sock.
Yeah, the balaclava. That's what I mean. That's what some people call it, the balaclava. It's like our headpiece.
Yeah, but yeah, super great stuff. Anyway, they boned. This is Matt's second appearance in the MCU, and he's already fucking with She-Hulk, no less.
Bro, he's just a goat. He got Spider-Man off some charges and went to go smash She-Hulk.
He's just built different,
bro.
You can't beat the man.
Riz Devil,
truly.
Riz Devil, bro.
When I was, of course, he does the walk of shame, which is beautiful.
Good morning.
Yeah. So that was pretty much the end of Daredevil in this episode. He shows up in the last episode, but I do want to ask, how you feeling about the suit?
Not bad. It's a lot better than the comic one.
Yeah, it's more. Well, I mean, even Jen says it. It's more of a gold than a yellow.
Yeah,
which works a lot better. But yeah, obviously, I actually really like the suit. Is it? I feel like this is just me. Maybe I just haven't seen Daredevil in a long time. But I feel like the cowl, the helmet, fit better on him.
Yeah, for sure.
Which was nice because that's one of my biggest complaints of that suit. It's still not perfect. I still wish it just went over the bridge of his nose. Hopefully we'll get that in his series. I don't know. But yeah, I really like the suit as a one-off. I wouldn't want this to be his permanent suit, of course. I'd want him to go back to just straight up red. Maybe a little in between suit and Neko where maybe it's mostly black. I don't know. But yeah, I'd really like the suit for this appearance. Although when we see it in daylight, it's not as great. The red is a little, it's more of a maroon, which I mean that makes sense. But in daylight it doesn't look as good. But still, I liked it. But yeah. When I watched this episode for the first time and Jen was like, "Doesn't this episode feel like it should be over?" I was like, it does kind of feel like it should be over.
Right.
And then obviously Jen continues talking to the audience, and everyone keeps talking about the Red Hulk reference that she makes, because she's talking about the twist, and she's like, "Is going to be another Hulk, but he's red?" But I thought I was more like, I was more intrigued by the fridged line. I thought that was really funny. She was like, "Is there going to be a Red Hulk, or am I about to get fridged?" Because like, if anyone doesn't know, fridged, I don't remember where it started. I feel like it started in a Green Lantern comic or something like that. But basically, basic definition, it's basically when a female character, usually some relation to the hero, a mother, a sister, a girlfriend, a wife, whatever, dies to give motivation to the main character. So I thought that was really funny. But yeah, that brings us to the end of this episode, which just hurt like hell. I mean, truly, I don't think anything in the MCU has made me feel that gross. Like, and I'm a dude that'll likely never go through something like that ever. So I can't imagine, but for women, like, they could imagine something like that happening, maybe on that, not on that scale necessarily, but that was rough.
Yeah, man. I was like, dude, I feel like super bad. And yeah, they kind of hurt me. Like, it really did. I was like, bro, like, ain't no fucking way. Cause like, you know, like, yeah, like, I mean, like, if it felt like, you know, Jen got a win, and then just all like, I mean, it's like, you know, she just took like a major fucking L, and it kind of hurt.
Yeah.
I was like, bro.
I was surprised they even went that route. It's like, it's straight up revenge porn. Like,
seriously,
like, really fucked up. But like I think it's not even even a close comparison. But like, the only thing I can think of even being close to that is the incident with you. The incident with you and the nudes.
Don't bring that up. This is not a time. Don't bring that up.
I'd say I was going to tell the story. I'm just saying.
Don't stop speaking about this. Oh my God! Don't you dare!
I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just saying that's the closest. I don't
care. God. Move on, please.
Okay, I'll move on.
I'm begging you.
It's pretty clear that in the show that they spent the most time on the CGI in the first episode and these last couple, because the CGI in this last bit in the gala was real good. There's that close-up scene with like the red lights flashing and shit, and even at the end where she grabs the guy and she looks at this at the audience. Ooh. CGI was real good there. But yeah, that was episode 8. Great episode, but
it really was
so good. But yeah, that brings us to the finale. And how can anyone not love the 70s series homage at the start of the episode?
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was so cool.
That was cool. I like that a lot.
And also, people brought up it's a dream. So somewhere in the multiverse, that is a thing. Also, I thought it was, not only was it just a really fun homage, it was also a great way to demonstrate how Jen sees herself in that moment. Because the entire homage was essentially saying this is how Jen sees herself at the gala, because she's wearing the same dress and destroying shit at the gala. So, and obviously, instead of, they could have just called it the Incredible She-Hulk or something like that, but they call it the Savage She-Hulk. So I thought that was really, really good. But yeah, it's like you were saying, how like it felt like she finally got a win, and then she just loses majorly. It's so frustrating because she loses everything for acting like a normal person. But that's how the bullshit works. She loses her job, her home.
She gets sent to prison for like a little bit, that chamber, a little bit, and yeah, it really does, like, it fucking sucks.
Yeah, and as people pointed out at the beginning of the episode, I mean, Banner warned her. He said, like, once people see the monster, that's all they'll see.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it was just like damn, bro, it really sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they managed to this show. I feel like the writers have just managed to be on top of everything. Like, despite, what people say about the quality and blah, 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 whatever, the way they've managed to just like read people like a book. And as far as like people's reactions and how they would talk about She-Hulk and stuff like that. So because like, obviously they're investigating everything, and Jen's mom comes in and shows Nikki a video of Jen dancing in college. And then Nikki posts that onto the internet, and it gets a whole mess of reactions, which I just felt like was very similar to Twerkgate. Like, just ridiculous. And obviously that was probably more of a coincidence than anything, but like, it's like scarily accurate. So Nikki gets invited to Intelligentsia and the Hulk King meet or whatever, and she gets pug because they're expecting a guy. And Jen goes to Emil's ranch and meets up with Wrecking Crew dude, whatever. And it makes me feel good to know that he clearly doesn't know what's going on, like, which means he's not in on it,
Yeah.
It's not like he went to Blonsky's thing or whatever just to get closer to She-Hulk and then, whatever. But so Pug's at this meet, and the sequence is really funny for a multitude of reasons, because the surrounding chatter is like literally a copy and paste from the internet. Like, I've seen and heard literally every comment they said in that scene, even the background stuff. So it was really funny seeing that. And also it was really funny just seeing the actor Pug, and it really just in this entire show, but in this environment, considering he was such a great villain in Arrow. Mm-hmm. Also, I didn't notice it, but I didn't notice my first time watching it, like, that it was Emil's place. Like, it's so obvious because in the background you see all of Blonsky's quotes and posters and stuff, which I didn't notice on a first watch. But yeah, and the fact that Nikki tells him to only call women females is really funny. Yeah. And of course, Todd comes in. And he's being Todd, but then he calls Todd hot. And someone in the back goes, "Yeah, I'd smash you." Yeah. I was like, how'd they get a hold of our group chats?
Right.
But okay, now here's where a little bit of debate comes in. Did Blonsky know what the event was?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't really think so either. I thought maybe at a point, because he comes in and because it's a private event. So like that Blonsky's, little circle wasn't invited to. So I was like, oh no. But he also comes in and I don't think he knows what the event is for, because he's talking about like seizing the day or whatever, which is irrelevant to Intelligentsia. But like when Jen comes in, he's startled and apologetic, but also isn't. But that could just be because he's not supposed to be in abomination form, and he saves her when Todd goes on the attack. So like, yeah, I overall, I don't think he knows, but like, so everything goes batshit crazy. Todd injects himself and gets Hulk powers or whatever. Jen's acknowledging how messy it is, and then she just breaks everything. Literally goes to the Disney Plus menu and jumps into Marvel Studios Assembled and literally walks around the Disney lot and finds the writer's room for She-Hulk, which is fucking nuts. Also, I watched this episode like 3 times. I paused the show. I don't know when this was filmed in the writing process or shooting process, or if they changed things around, because in this scene, it says that Daredevil is actually in episode 7, but it also doesn't say that it's Daredevil, but some guy named John. I don't know if that's like just like a placeholder. I thought it was at first, but then it also says whatever is the superhero name is, but I can't make out what it says. So I wonder if anyone can get like a clearer shot than that. But yeah, I thought, because they have all the episodes like on the wall, like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 all written out. And at first I thought, oh, maybe this is just a bunch of random stuff, but no, it's the actual episodes. So I thought that was really fun. But Jen starts criticizing them about how they're writing the finale, and they essentially say that like this is the only way to do it because it's a superhero story, and these beats happen within superhero stories, which is our first dig at the Marvel formula. And they talk about how that's a story, and how Jen wants to talk to Kevin. And they're like, oh, you can't do that. And that guy says, I would murder you to protect Kevin. Yeah, so this whole scene is like, it's really good. So then she just goes to the Marvel Studios office, which, just so people know, is literally the Marvel Studios office. I've seen photos. That's literally exactly what it is. That's exactly what it looks like. If you visited it, like, that's it. Maybe it's a set, but if it is a set, it's like 100% accurate. Other than, of course, the hallway, leading to Kevin's office. Like, that's not, at least I don't think so. I have never seen it. But she then goes into Kevin's office, and of course, it's not Kevin Feige, but it's like she goes in and it's like Marvel Studios everything, and there's comics on stands, and then Kevin's revealed, and it's a. I must say, I'm a little disappointed that it wasn't just Kevin Feige, or at least voiced by Kevin Feige, but apparently Feige refused to do it, which is funny. He lets a lot of things slide, but he's like, no, I'm not voicing this. I wonder if he didn't voice it just because he's like, I'm not an actor, or he just didn't feel like, maybe he thought like it was too like self-centered. You know what I mean? Because like I'm the god of this universe or whatever. I don't know, but he has this fucking baseball cap on, which apparently they wanted to do a real baseball cap, but Kevin was against. So I actually think what they have in this is better. Like it's just like more of a subtle reference to it than anything. But the fact that he has a baseball cap type thing on is so good.
Facts.
And so like, yeah, this whole scene is just batshit crazy and really funny. It was already funny enough, but then he says that she has to go back into human form because the VFX team is working on another project, and it plays the Black Panther theme, which is really good. And yeah, so not only are they essentially calling Feige a robot because they're, he's a robot, but they're also going after the formula again by calling it an entertainment algorithm, and that produces like near perfect products. Some are better than others. And then Kevin leaves that debate up to the internet, which was really good. And yeah, like they just keep going after themselves in this, which is really great. It also shows that, and I always thought it was clear. I doubt like Kevin's fucking deaf, and not robot Kevin, but Kevin Feige Kevin, to these criticisms and stuff. Like it's clear that he hears them, and it's even clearer in this show. But Jen essentially makes an argument for the show and how it shouldn't be messy, because she essentially says that the stakes need to be personal, which I agree with. And then she gets rid of Bruce and the whole Todd with Hulk power storylines, and Kevin starts to say that for Bruce that he was going to tease something, and Jen says, save it for the movie. So they just drop that they just drop that there's probably definitely going to be a Hulk movie, probably definitely. That's basically confirmed, right?
Yes, it's confirmed.
Like, that's crazy. She asked for Daredevil back, and I assumed that this was going to be like a one-off joke, like, they wouldn't be like, wouldn't that be nice? And I didn't think we'd actually see him again. But then she calls out the daddy issues in the MCU, which is one of my favorite things that fans have pointed out for years. So that's really good. Then she asks, like, when are we getting the X-Men, and gives that thumbs up to the camera, which was really fun. And then Kevin gets upset, and he's like, okay, you got to get back to the show. You're blocked from accessing Kevin. And then then he says, see you on the big screen. And Jen says, really? And he says, no. and he squints, which was really good. So then she goes back to the show, and Todd is being arrested along with Blonsky, and Daredevil shows up just out of nowhere, spawns in. Like Kevin literally just spawned him in.
Jen, I'm here to help.
Yeah.
the most like NPC voice ever.
Yeah. But so like this is where a little bit of the, or not a little bit, a lot of the debate comes in. How are you feeling about this aspect of it? Because like, I'll just say this shit broke me. I didn't know how to feel. Like,
aspect of like the fourth wall break.
Just the whole fourth wall break and this sort of end sequence here.
I mean, the fourth wall break, I think it's fine. I mean, I actually like it because, you know, it's like a throwback to John Byrne's, you know, like the sensational She-Hulk. Because, you know, there's like a part of the comic where like She-Hulk she talks to the writers.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up that because, you know, people were saying like, you can't just acknowledge the bad writing and make it better. Like, it doesn't excuse bad writing. It's like number one, subjective. I don't think it's bad writing, but also she does do it in the comics. So it is you know, a reference to that as well. But yeah.
And then, the whole end sequence kind of did feel like kind of off because like everyone's just having dinner. And then we get introduced to Scar with that horrible haircut. The massacre, my boy. But of course, like, you know, I mean, I think it's fine. I'm definitely hoping to see where they take all three Hulks, you know, in the MCU, because like if they're introducing Scar right now, that's big. You know, that's some big shit going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, I hope to see like what happens.
Well,
overall,
also,
I think that what?
No, sorry, go on.
I'll just say, like, you know, overall, I am like, I think the finale was like, you know, pretty good.
Yeah, Jen really fucked with the plot, and I don't mean that like, I'm just saying like she like really changed the plot, because Matt said he was leaving like that morning, and now he's staying for a week. Which is like, I'm not going to complain for the sake of the relationship because I love them together, but like, they have that really funny and endearing conversation with Matt and Jen's dad about kids. It's very upfront about it, and then Jen's aunt like is like coming on to Matt, and the husband's like, it's like, what the fuck's going on here?
Right.
But so like when Scar comes in and Bruce introduces him, like, or no, like when Bruce comes in and he's like, I know I've been on Sakaar for a while. It cuts to a picture. It cuts to a shot of the family, and like Matt's face. He's like looking at him like, the fuck is a Sakaar? But like, can we just take a moment and appreciate that we live in a timeline where Matt Murdock, played by Charlie Cox, is in a She-Hulk show where he's eating dinner or whatever with She-Hulk's family, in which not only Hulk comes in, but Smart Hulk, and then who just came from the planet Sakaar, introduces his son Scar from another planet. Like, the fuck. I love it here.
Crazy.
But
insane.
But yeah, then we get the post-credit scene, and it's Wong taking Blonsky to Kamar-Taj. This is really nice. But yeah, I watched this finale 3 times. Both because I wanted to and because I forgot to take notes and I had to watch it again. But the first time I watched it broke me. I didn't know how to feel. Like, I mean, I knew how to feel about certain aspects. I loved the fourth wall breaking stuff. I'm a sucker for meta shit, so that really did it for me. But after that, just it just wrapping up like immediately, I thought was like, I don't know about this. But then I thought about it more. I rewatched it, and now even though I still feel like some type of way about it, I understand what they were going for, because the entire point of Jen's argument with Kevin was that they didn't need a big punch up fight. We know where this is going. We can do this our own way. Every show is like either go big or go home in the finale, and in She-Hulk they went they went big and went home, but in a She-Hulk way with the fourth wall break. That was the big fight essentially. And again, like we knew how this was going to end anyway. Like she was going to defeat Todd. He was going to go to prison. Blonsky was probably going to go to prison anyway. So I think it worked. I think they did the big fight, essentially the whole formulaic thing, while also not doing it in the formulaic way, while also still getting the result of what the formula would have been anyway, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also just one of those things where it's like it tie in, if it's, the whole show, right, as well, because of course people want these big ass shifts, they want these big ass events or whatever, but it's like not everything has to happen like that, because like, of course it's the story about Jen with low stakes, and Jen is a regular person with powers in the MCU. Like, she's just a regular person within the MCU. So that's why it's like, it's like that.
Yeah. And and the only thing that I still am not I'm not like, the part of the finale that I wasn't a huge fan of, and I'm still not a huge fan of, is they did, for as good of an ending as episode 8 was, they should have spent more time on the revenge porn stuff. Like, that's a huge deal. Mm-hmm. And it was just kind of brushed aside, which is kind of annoying. It's on the grand scheme of things, it's not like the biggest deal in the world, but it's just something, it's such a huge deal, especially for her and her family and her personal life. Like, it's massive. So yeah, I just feel like to just kind of sweep it under the rug is kind of sucks. But yeah, as a finale, it's like because the first time, even though it broke me, like, I enjoyed myself. Like, I liked it. I maybe would have given the finale like a 7 out of 10, but rewatching it, understanding what they're going for, agreeing mostly with what they're going for, even though I have some hangups here or there. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great finale. Probably one of the better finales. Probably not the best. I mean, Loki's probably still the best finale. I can't think of another finale. Oh, Hawkeye. I really liked Hawkeye's finale. Shit. I don't know. I'd have to think on it. It just came out, but it was one of the better ones, basically, in my opinion, at least. But yeah, I really enjoyed the show, like, a lot. I talked about it. I don't remember when we talked about it. I feel like in podcasts, I always listen to podcasts and they're like, when did we talk about this thing? I'm like, you talked about it like 2 weeks ago, man. How do you not remember that? And now I'm doing a podcast. I can't remember shit. But I talked about how one of the things I wanted most out of like a sort of a superhero world and branching off into different genres is just a straight up sitcom in a superhero world. And this is the closest thing we've gotten, other than Powerless, but that's a different thing. And I really liked it. Like, I really liked it. It had missteps here and there. I'm not gonna like put it on the like on a super high pedestal with like other superhero stuff, or even like a higher pedestal with like sitcoms and shit. Like, it was good in my opinion. Again, had a few missteps, had a few hiccups. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of episode 2. Yeah, the CGI is wonky here and there, although people are blowing that way out of proportion. The writing could have been better. Like I said, I wasn't a fan of the courtroom scenes. It just felt clunky and weird at times. There was maybe a B story here or there that could have been better. I wish the supporting cast was more fleshed out, but these aren't things that are like, this was shit. It's more things like, I enjoyed this. I wish they expanded upon it more. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like, I guess instead of the CG, but that's more budget, time, crunch and shit than actually like competency. But yeah, I was gonna go on this big rant, but I'm just tired. Not tired like I'm like sleepy, but I'm just tired. Like, I don't want to put that much of my energy into something that ultimately doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's exhausting talking about like how people are, especially when it comes to this show and like just overall phase 4 in general. I just want this phase to be fucking done, bro. I'm tired of people talking. Like, I'm tired as well, man.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, even Feige talked about it. I think at Comic-Con, he said that the future phases, or at least phase 5 is going to be a more serious phase. And I think phase 4, and again, I mean, we talk about it all the time, but like in hindsight, this is going to be not only seen as, you know, a phase that wasn't that bad and actually pretty good. It's also going to be seen as an experimental phase, because that's what it is. They threw a bunch of stuff at the wall. So just wanted to see what stuck. Essentially, it's not everything was going to work for everyone. I mean, it was inevitable. You know, it was just like when you're going to try different things in different genres and different styles, it's not going to be for everyone. And naturally, when you're not doing the standard Marvel formula that is always crowd pleasing, like as much as people were like shitting on the MCU and stuff like that, one of the MCU movies that followed the formula while also doing something new that was massively successful critically and audience scores wise was like Shang-Chi. It's just the formula works. As much as people like to shit on the formula, why doesn't Marvel do anything different? Even though they do, especially in phase 4, whenever they do still do the formula, people eat it up despite not wanting the formula. But like, yeah. And I want to be clear that it's completely okay to not like this show. Again, the show has flaws, but it's absolutely not like okay to hate the show for no reason. And when I say hate, I don't mean like, oh, you're just a hater. I mean going on Twitter and acting like this is the worst thing to ever grace your screen. It's like, it's fine to criticize. Hell, it's great to criticize. Like, criticism is what's changing the VFX industry right now to reduce crunch and shit like that. But you can't call this show's the worst thing Marvel's ever done, or Marvel can't hire good writers and stuff like that criticism. That's just blind hate. You sound like an asshole. Like, why do you think it's bad? Why do you think the writing wasn't up to par? Stuff like that. And like, what annoys me isn't that people don't like the show, because again, that's fine. I have issues with it. It's not the best thing in the world. The show, it didn't blow me away, but also wasn't trying to. But like, that happens all the time. I mean, just look at the book. Just look at Book of Boba Fett. Like, but the way that people hate on that show compared to this show, the hate for this show was unlike anything we've seen in a long, long time, probably since Captain Marvel. And even that, like, I feel like the hate for Captain Marvel feels tame in comparison to some of the shit that I've seen thrown at this show. And there's a common denominator there. You know what I mean? You know what the common denominator is, but like the energy that people have, the energy that men have to hate on this show is incredibly off-putting to me. Like, the fact that you put that much energy into something that you actively don't like, or even that you actively haven't seen but pretend to not like, or just act like you don't like just to fit in with your stupid fucking crowd. It's so gross to me, and it's clear why they hate the show as much as they do. Like we said earlier, is it a woman as the lead? No, not necessarily, but that's certainly part of it. You know, Miss Marvel got blind hate. You know, Captain Marvel obviously got blind hate. Black Widow got blind hate. But it's the fact that this show so blatantly, like I was talking about earlier, puts up a mirror to these people, and their tiny little brains just can't handle it. Like they just fucking explode, and it's fucking hilarious because the same people who are just absolutely shitting on the show and calling it woke and calling it the worst thing ever at the same time are jerking off to their fucking She-Hulk Rule 34 shit. like exactly. And again, I want to be clear, just because you don't like the show doesn't mean that you're one of these people. But if you heard everything that I just said and you thought, well, I don't like She-Hulk and I'm not X, Y, and Z, then you might need to take a look at yourself in the mirror because I'm not talking to you. Because there's, again, valid criticisms for this show. There's reasons not to like this show, but the reasons that the bulk of all the negative shit is coming from, it's not warranted. And another big part of it, I believe, is just the way people talk about media nowadays in general. And I think we've talked about this before. I'm sure we have, but I'm just going to say it again anyway. There's no in between anymore. There's no middle ground. Something is either the best thing ever or the worst thing ever. There's no middle ground. It's never, oh, the CGI was off in a handful of places. Instead, this is the worst CGI of all time. And again, side note, the people that think this is the worst CGI would not be able to handle something like Doom Patrol, which is about the same, if not worse quality. You know, like
I don't know, like I feel like when people like just say like, oh yeah, this is the worst CGI I've ever seen, they haven't like checked out like anything else, like Spawn 1999 or like some of the shit from like, you know,
people are like,
Batman Forever.
It looks like a PlayStation 1 cutscene, dude. Like, all people do is exaggerate and blow it way out of proportion. Like, it's never, oh, I thought the writing could use some work in the courtroom scenes. It's, this is some of the worst writing I've ever seen. Why can't Marvel hire good writers? Like, so many people nowadays just blow shit up for no reason. And they're clearly actively doing it on purpose because they know that it's obviously not the worst CG. They know it's obviously not the worst written show, but they have to make it known how much they don't like this show for some reason. And they hate the show that much for some reason. And, you know, there's so many people again nowadays that have to say something is objectively bad. Like, oh, well, this thing is objectively bad. And I'm at a point now, to be honest, where like, I'm not convinced that objectively bad even exists. Like Suicide Squad 2016, Dark Phoenix, like, Spider-Man 3. Like,
yeah, I want to go into that. Like, because like people were saying, yeah, the CGI is objectively bad. Like, no, like, you know, what's the objective about it? Like, you know, what's like, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying like anything objectively doesn't exist, but like it is subjective to you that is objectively bad.
Yeah,
like,
to me, it was fine.
Like people do not understand the words objective and subjective. Like, to you, it is subjectively bad, but it's not objectively bad because, like, not everyone feels the same way that you do. And kind of going about a rant about this, like, you know, people, okay, like, you know, so a lot of people hate Disney. They're like, oh my God, it's $1 billion corporation, blah, 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 blah. But they only hate it, like, when it benefits them. Or they always use that same excuse whenever there's a project they don't like. It's like, oh my God, like Disney ruins everything. I mean, you weren't saying that when Winter Soldier came out.
We weren't saying that when Shang-Chi came out.
You weren't saying that when Infinity War came out.
Or saying that when No Way Home came out.
So, and then it's like, oh my God, like Disney ruined Star Wars. You weren't saying that when The Mandalorian came out. Definitely ain't saying it when Rogue One came out.
Definitely not saying it now when Andor's coming out.
So why is it that when you say Disney ruins everything, it's because of a project you don't like? Just say you don't like the project and give a reason why. But don't say Disney's bad because of this and that. Like, because they love everything else. It's just like, it's like, why? It's like, and I've seen people like, I saw this like one Iron Man edit or whatever, and they're saying like, yeah, pre-Disney like shit. I'm like, bro, you love shit that fucking Disney put out. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, like without Disney, we wouldn't have arguably one of the best superhero movies of all time. Several of some of the best superhero movies of all time.
Like I'm telling you, people be like, oh man, I fucking hate Disney. And then like their top 5 is like Infinity War, Endgame, Winter Soldier, Ragnarok, and like fucking Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, fuck off. Like, Jesus.
But yeah, like some of the examples of like objectively bad are Suicide Squad, Dark Phoenix, Spider-Man 3. It's fucking like Thor the Dark World and shit. But like, even though you can criticize its acting, its cinematography, the writing, whatever, there's always going to be people that love that quote unquote bad thing, no matter what. Your favorite thing is someone's least favorite thing, and your least favorite thing is someone else's favorite thing. So to have people shitting on others just for enjoying this show is baffling. You shouldn't be mad. You should be envious. Like, you should envy that person because that's one more thing in their life that they get to enjoy. Like, I don't like Batman v Superman. Fuck, I don't hate Batman v Superman, but I really dislike Batman v Superman. I do hate the characterization of Batman in that movie. I hate broody Superman. I despise Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. But my God, do I wish I was one of those people that think that movie's a masterpiece. I would love to have a movie in my life with Batman and Superman in it that I can enjoy and rewatch it repeatedly and just have a good time with it. But I can't because I don't like it. I wish I could, but I can't. So I'm just completely envious of those people. And just because I can't, I'm not going to go on YouTube or Twitter and find some random person calling it a masterpiece and tell them that they're wrong because I think it's a bad movie. Like, just because I think it's a bad movie doesn't mean it's objectively bad. Just because I think the acting's bad, just because I think the action is bad or whatever, doesn't make it objectively bad.
Exactly. And it's like, bro, like y'all like want to be bitter so fucking badly. And it's kind of also like one of like I kept thinking this like I love, as much as I love the Disney Plus Marvel shows, I fucking hate when they like release weekly, because it just means that the fandom is just fucking abysmal. Like it is, and especially like She-Hulk is probably one of the least talked about Disney Marvel Plus shows, or the Disney Plus Marvel shows, because like it goes back to what you're saying, like there's no like middle ground. It's always like if you like it, you're considered fucking stupid, and like you don't like enjoy like masterpieces, and it's like, oh, if you don't like it, you're labeled a misogynist. It's just very, very fucking exhausting to do with shit like this, dude. It's like horrible. I don't give a fuck. I'll talk about the show all fucking day. I'll talk about it every fucking week. I mean shit, we damn near do. But like, I mean, it's okay not to like things. Stop being a fucking asshole about it.
Yeah, but like, and like, there's gonna be people that are also say like, well, there's a reason the audience scores are so low, but you can't trust those now either. Like for years it was don't trust the critical score, trust the audience score. But now the audience score has become completely untrustworthy because it's impossible to know what the general public actually think, because a group of weirdos will just go out of their way to tank the score of a show or movie. And I know that there'd be people out there that would say, oh, well, people like that should just review it positively to bring the score up. But once the damage is done, it's essentially impossible to bring that score up to something more accurate, especially since it was rated and completely trashed. The score was completely trashed before the show had even released. Like, have you ever been in school and you had like an A in your class, but one day you like miss an assignment, and so you get a 0 and then it drops your grade down to a B, and you're like, oh, okay, well that sucks. Well, I'll just get more good grades to bring it back up. And then you get consistent good grades. You're on your next assignments, 95, 88, 100, but your grade barely moves because of that 1 0. Like that's the same thing that happens. The negative score holds so much more weight than the positive ones. And all it takes is one glance at some of these reviews to know that it's bullshit. Because like Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, Metacritic, like they're all like, again, like I hate talking about it, but that's what most of it is. It's the, this is woke and Marvel and Disney and wow, whatever, the agendas and shit. Who gives a fuck? But the letterbox ones are like especially stupid. Like a lot of those negative reviews were also before release or just only after one episode. And at the time it was like peak popularity for Better Call Saul. And it's just flooded with 0.5-star and 1-star reviews saying, oh, she thinks she's Saul. Very funny, man. Very, very funny. Just as funny as the last 1,000 people that said the exact same thing. And it just completely tanked that score too. And yeah, anyway, I've been talking too long. Basically, make sure you're critical, but not hateful. It's fine to not like things. It's fine to be critical of something, but it's not okay to be hateful. Which I know is an uphill battle, because considering just where the internet is, and I could talk about why the internet is that way, but I'm not gonna. But yeah, if you think this show is the worst thing ever, I implore you to watch more movies and TV, because this is far from that. And you sound like an idiot. Basically, just don't be an asshole. We always say it. That's basically the motto of this show now. We should put it on a t-shirt. Don't be an asshole. But yeah, like overall, I really like this show. I can't say like I loved it. I adored it. It's not one of the best Marvel projects, but it's certainly not one of the worst. It's, as far as like the Marvel TV shows go, again, I think it's pretty consistent with those, which again, it's not everyone's cup of tea. A lot of people hate the Disney Plus Marvel shows. I personally really enjoy them, but and as much as, you know, people like to shit on it and stuff, you think it's fine. Like you think it's it's good. Like it's fine, but you're also not going to shit on it for no reason.
Yeah, exactly.
just because it's not the greatest thing you've ever seen.
It's just fine, you know.
Yeah. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to end the show on a sad note, or not a sad note, but a down note, because again, I really enjoyed this show. I had a great time. It's just unfortunately a lot of the discourse surrounding this show is awful. And I know it's probably going to be one of those shows that in 5 years time, when hopefully this phase of wokeness or whatever blows over, hopefully this show, and I'm pretty confident that this show is going to be looked back on and be like, oh shit, they were pretty on the pulse with this.
Yep.
But yeah, is that the show?
That is the show. Well, thank you for listening to the Avengers podcast. If you want to follow us, we're at Avengers on Twitter. That's AVENGE Nerds, all one word. If you want to follow either one of us, you can reach me at nowhere. Just follow our social medias, please. Where can they reach you at?
Please. You can follow me at @Zenith_ on Twitter.
Sounds good. We have a Discord. You'd like to join the conversation there. Those will be linked in the show notes. You can check out our link tree for any additional links you may be interested in. You can also review the show in-app on Apple Podcasts. If you could leave 5 stars in a review, it would really help us out. Thanks again for listening to the Avengers podcast. We'll see you next week.
Later.
Fucking bitches.
It'd be so easy to redo the whole pod just to get as many views as possible. To just be like, this was the worst thing ever. Marvel's gone woke. We get so many views, we get more subscribers, but
I'm dead ass thinking like you should just put like you should just bait the title.
Well,
like,
see,
She-Hulk was the worst, and just put like a bunch of question marks.
See, that's I thought about that, but I also don't want to draw in the wrong crowd. Because I don't want people like in the comments because then they get baited, and then it's like, oh, how could you think this show sucks? But then on the other side of the coin, like if I title it something like this show's pretty good actually, like even tame, not even like this is the best thing of Phase 4, like just super tame, like She-Hulk's pretty good. You'll still get the same people just because they're gonna search for that shit and be like, this was actually the worst thing ever. How could you think that? It'd be the same outcome. You know what? I'm still recording. If you're even here, fucking dislike the video. I fucking dare you. Please feed the algorithm to make this get pushed out more. Please dislike it.